Good evening and welcome to the University of Sydney Faculty of Engineering and IT webinar series. Tonight we're going to focus on studying engineering and computer science. My name is Paula Klaas. I'm the head of student recruitment at the Faculty of Engineering and IT. And with me today I have Ms. Tamara Kirby, Senior Education Manager, Ms. Mega Mapila Parambil, Leadership Program Coordinator, and Jack Naylor, student, third-year student, mechanical, majoring in space, a combined degree with advanced science and physics. What will you achieve by studying with us? Well, studying at the University of Sydney, we're ranked #1 in Australia and 5th in the world for graduate employability. That's really big. We're first in Australia and 28th globally for research and innovation. The University of Sydney is a highly research-intensive university, and hence our rankings show. In the faculty, we have more than double the national average of women studying engineering and IT. And this goes out to all the women considering studying engineering. Please come to us. We're #1 in student experience. This was done through a survey of the National Union of Students for 4 years running. We connect with a network of over 1,200 engineering, technology, and government organizations, which means that we're with industry, we're talking with industry, we get work placements, we have research output, and that benefits and informs the teaching that we do. We have $10 million in scholarships offered every year, and we're the top 3 in Australia for engineering and IT. And of course, all our engineering degrees are accredited by Engineers Australia. What degrees do we offer? The Bachelor of Engineering Honours. We have 9 streams for the Bachelor of Engineering, which you can choose from, and then you can choose from about 24 majors once you enroll. And we have a very flexible first year. This course is created for students who aren't really sure what stream they want to go to. So you have a full year to decide what you want to do, experience the engineering disciplines, you're taking a common set of units. You enjoy the same benefits, no loss in time, you finish at the same time, and in your second year, you go into the stream of choice, one of the 9 streams. We have the Bachelor of Advanced Computing with 6 majors, and you can choose a second major if you choose to from a non-engineering field, or you can choose to do one in engineering software. Bachelor of Project Management, the only multidisciplinary bachelor's program in Australia not tied to a single industry. You can choose a major outside the project management or honours, and the addition of curated internships for the best and brightest students by invitation. You complete a capstone project over 2 semesters in the final year with subject matter experts from industry. Subjects include project finance, statistics, analytics, risk management, organizational behavior, and psychology. While the majors are in construction and built environment, students graduating from project management go into all kinds of industry. Combined degrees. Approximately 50% of our students study a combined degree. These allow pursuits of other academic interests apart from engineering. And our colleague here tonight will speak a little bit about his experience a bit later. This combined degree takes 5 years, a year longer than other degrees. We have accreditation, as mentioned, Engineers Australia, Project Management Institute, Australian Computer Society, and ICAM. Exchange opportunities. This is interesting. The opportunity to go overseas to experience a semester, 2 weeks, it broadens your experience of another place. You experience working with other people. You experience the different ways in which engineering schools, and cultures. It makes you a much better rounded person. So the university offers students this opportunity, and we have a lot of partners across the world where students can go to. Next, we have our colleagues Tamara and Mega talking about industry opportunities. This I'm sure you'd be very interested in.
Hi, hello, I'm Tamara. I'm just going to talk to you about our new professional engagement program. It was launched in 2018 with around 1,000 first-year engineering students. PEP develops the professional and transferable skills students need to participate in the workforce starting from day one of their studies. During their 4-year degree, students will complete 600 hours of in-curricular and extracurricular activities to increase their employability as graduates. So what does this mean? This means that you can account for work experience in engineering fields as well as non-engineering fields, as we believe these are all strong skills in developing your transferable professional skills in the professional environment. And we do break it down to 130 hours of your choice, plus 200 hours of engineering work and experience, 200 hours engineering focused activities such as site visits, guest lectures, industry seminars and competitions which the university sets up for you, as well as 70 hours of non-engineering focused activities, so volunteering and overseas exchange programs. We work and collaborate with many industry partners such as Thales, KPMG, Google, IBM and Accenture ResMed. The other option we have is also part of a program with PEP is Jacaranda Flame Consulting, where students work on real life interdisciplinary projects with industry being involved, and it's simulating an engineering consulting firm that does accumulate hours, PEP hours, as towards your degree. And now I'll hand you over to Mecca.
So I'm going to talk about a little more about what the DL Scholars Program is all about. So the DL Scholars Program is the university's flagship program that rewards high-achieving students who have an ATAR of about 98 plus. Through this program, students get access to a lot of enrichment opportunities that not only helps them develop their academic capabilities, but we also have a strong focus on leadership development and practice opportunities. Through the DL Scholars Program, we have a huge focus on different mentoring programs. So we have a peer-to-peer mentoring program in their first year. In your second year as a DL scholar, you will be assigned to an academic. So that's the DL Academic Mentoring Program. In your third year as a DL scholar, you will be a part of the DL Alumni Mentoring Program, where you will be paired with an industry mentor that will help you transition to being from you being a professional in the industry. In addition to that, the DL Scholars Program gives you access to advanced units of study. So in engineering, we have about 4 DL units that you can choose from, and you can take it at any point of during the course of your program. You also have the opportunity to utilize $2,000 worth of global mobility scholarship towards your international exchange. And if you become a DL scholar, it will be on your testimony that you are a DL scholar. So the only requirement to be in the program is that you need to have a WAM of 75 throughout the course of your degree, and you will be in the DL Scholars Program throughout your degree.
E6, sorry, it's Tamara again. E6 is another opportunity where students get exposure to industry, and it's a great opportunity where students do apply for the scholarship, and when selected they go on a 6-month placement. It could be in Australia or overseas, and to work with industry in their final year of study. It allows students then to apply the academic knowledge that they've received during university and to put it into more of a practical concept. Students do get an 18 grand scholarship, which I do believe is going up next year, and it does go towards, you do get quite a bit of credit for your units of study as well. You do need to write a thesis at the end of it, but it's a very rewarding experience for everyone.
Now, a little bit about Leadership Scholarship Program. So the Leadership Scholarship Program is very similar to the DL program, but yet quite different, just because through this program, we actually offer students an $18,000 worth of scholarship over the course of 4 years. So each year they get $18,000. So there's a further breakdown in this scholarship money since this year. They get $12,000 as a scholarship money, and then $6,000 goes towards their leadership development fund. So students get the opportunity to use $6,000 towards taking up different leadership opportunities nationally and internationally. This scholarship is available to students, so you can take up any stream in engineering and this scholarship will be available to you. We have an application process for you to apply for the scholarship, so it's not by invitation. So the DL Scholar, the Scholars Program is by invitation. So if you have a 98 plus ATAR during your HSC, you will get an invitation, but the Leadership Scholarship Program has an application and an interview process. The unique part about being a leadership scholar is that you not only get leadership development through the support of different academic leadership activities, but you also get the opportunity to develop yourself with industry mentoring. So you get placed in an industry with an industry sponsor, or you actually take up an industry placement at the end of your second year. So that will be an 8-week placement, and then at the end of your third year, you take up a 12-week placement. So in the past, we've had couple of our sponsors, so that's Thomas and Langerock. Currently, we have Abergaildy, Transport for New South Wales, etc. as our sponsors. So you will get the opportunity to work really closely with all these companies and be mentored by senior leadership in all these companies as well. So if you don't have an ATAR of 98 plus, the Faculty of Engineering also provides opportunity for leadership development through the program called Student Leadership Academy, where we focus on building your leadership skills through workshops and getting external speakers to share their experience about what leadership is all about. And we also have unique innovation competitions and leadership competitions. So recently we had a competition with Texas A&M University. So it was a global competition and we had our students participate in that. So through this program, so it's not necessary that you need to have a 98 plus ATAR and to get into the scholarship programs, but for students that don't have a 98 plus ATAR, we also have other programs for you to support you and develop you.
Now, we're opening the panel to questions. Hi, I'm Paula. This is Tamara.
I'm Tamara.
I'm Mega.
I'm Jack.
Do we have any questions?
So when do I need to pick what kind of engineering stream I go into?
That is a good question, because I know, I guess when you want to enrol, but also I do know people do change their streams throughout their degree, and I think Jack probably give more advice.
Yeah, so most people end up coming in and picking a stream to begin with. They find something they really like out of high school. In my case, it was mechanical, and I've decided to stick with that because I really enjoy it. But I know people that might have started off in software and gone to electrical, or started off in mechatronic engineering and gone to mechanical. And they usually are able to do that after about their first year. And in most cases, they don't actually lose any time in their degree. All the credit pretty much internally transfers between those streams. But if you're not quite sure, like we said in the presentation, the flexible first year is a really good option there for you to be able to have a go at a whole range of different sorts of engineering, try them out, work out which ones you really have a passion for, because a lot of people know that they have a passion for engineering and problem solving, but they don't really know, the passion for applying that. So flexible first year is a really good option there. And then after your first semester undertaking that program, you then get to choose what stream of engineering and you slot right in without losing any time, which is really, really good.
Thank you, Jack. Another question that we have is, how do you receive the $2,000 Global Mobility Scholarship?
Very interesting question. So, you can actually use the $2,000 Global Mobility Scholarship towards your exchange study. So the first criteria would be obviously an invitation to the DL Scholars Program, and once you're a part of the program, you will get access to this $2,000 scholarship. So obviously the process would involve you to apply. So there is the paperwork to get the scholarship in hand. But once you're part of the program, you will have access to the scholarship, and you can use that towards any exchange study that you wish to take up. I hope that answers the question.
Another one for you.
Okay.
Can I do all types of engineering through the DL scheme?
Yes, you can do all type of, you can take up any stream of engineering using the DL stream, but there are different limitations. So say if you end up doing a space major, you might have to overload to do DL units. So one criteria which I forgot to mention in the DL program is you need to do 12 credit points you need to do 12 credit points as a part of to be awarded or to be recognized as a DL scholar at the end of your degree. So so there's one exception. So if you do a space major, you might have to overload. So that will be taking up more than 24 credit points, I guess, right, in a semester.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, you'll have to overload to do those 12 credit points. So it might be overwhelming. So that's just one case of space major. But then we end up working it out for you. So we have a huge team at the faculty to support you in working out what's the best fit for your diet, your curriculum diet, to better help you to stay in the DL stream and help you get the DL Scholar, award as well.
One more for you.
Yes.
Popular, Mega.
Yeah, I know.
Where would I be able to find a list of all scholarships?
Ooh, that's good.
It is on the internet site, intranet, and I do think
Engineering side.
Yeah.
So if you just type Faculty of Engineering scholarships, you should get a list of different scholarships that we offer. So we have a couple of, leadership scholarship is there. We have a Langaroke Indigenous scholarship. So these are the couple that I know on the top of my head.
There are many.
Yeah, there are many though.
Yes.
Now, maybe Jack? From Jack, what kind of activities could be done before applying to university that helps you find the kind of engineering you could be passionate about?
Oh, really good question. So there's a few things you could do in high school. So it's part of our Propel program, which is part of our high school outreach. You can have a Google for Propel and you can see all the approved activities. Essentially, it's a lot of outreach activities that the university runs. So you can actually come onto campus. We run a whole bunch of activities. I'm involved in that. And they'll cover different sorts of engineering. So we run a biomedical one where you get to build an ECG sensor. We build a civil one where you get to build a cantilever beam, all those sorts of things. So you can actually come onto campus and try those out. But also as well, have a look around at, actually do your research. Have a look at, what different types of engineers do. I know, mechanical's a very, very broad one. So a lot of people might come in thinking it's just about cars, but we deal with everything from fluids to thermodynamics. You can even do space engineering, which is what I'm doing. So definitely do your research, work out, what you really like there, but also check out Propel. That's a really good way for us to be able to engage with you and also teach you about different types of engineering there.
How will we find out what Propel?
Do a Google search for Propel, P-R-O-P-E-L. Type in UCID as well, probably first search result.
the good thing about Propel at the end of the day is if you do a number of Propel activities and you enroll in Sydney, you are entitled, you will get a mobility scholarship.
Yeah, $2,000 as well to
Yeah.
use
Yeah.
at some point during your degree.
Yeah, so look it out. Now, the deal and leadership questions come up again.
Oh, great.
It is.
Can I
It's
be
very
both a deal and leadership scholar? That's one. Another one, can I also be if I have a combined degree, like science and engineering?
Yes. So yes, you can be a DL scholar and a leadership scholar. So technically, if you're a leadership scholar, you automatically become a DL scholar as well. And yes, to combined degree as well. So you can do a combined degree being a leadership scholar and a DL scholar. So Jack is a leadership scholar. So yeah, that's it. So you're doing a combined degree. Right?
I'm doing a combined degree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who also has the flexible first year? Explain a little bit more about flexible first year.
Okay, sure. I actually sat in on a lecture back when I was in first year for flexible first year. It's really, really good. So they get a whole range of lecturers from different streams of engineering. They actually come in, give you a rundown of what that sort of type of engineering does. And then they actually have, an activity. So for each stream of engineering, you'll actually have a tutorial where you do something hands-on related to that activity. So a good example was for biomedical engineering. They had a lecturer come in and essentially, I don't know the proper technical name, but it was a type of thermoplastic. So you got given a whole bunch of beads and some warm water. You put the beads in the water and you're able to mold that into a plastic. And they had to design a new sort of knee graft to go around their knee and hold things up there. So, very practical and hands-on. And that happens for each of the streams of engineering. So there's something for mechanical, something for mechatronics, something for software, something for electrical. You get to go through, experience all those things, get the rundown of, what sort of engineering is what, and then sort of find your passion from there, which is really, really good.
Good. Sarah's asking, is aerospace hard to study?
Aerospace. Yes and no. So space engineering's pretty full on. I really enjoy it because you get to deal with things that, essentially you're designing for an environment you'll probably never go to, not many people will go to, and it's something you can't really test for as well. So it definitely brings a new sort of challenge to space engineering, and that's what I'm sort of really passionate about, the challenge that engineering provides, particularly in new environments like space. So it can be quite daunting from the get-go, but it's really, really enjoyable. And if you have that passion and that drive for problem solving, definitely take it by the hands and see how you go.
A question from Sarah. How do you stay organized and on top of tasks through university, given the transition from high school to university can be quite drastic for some students? So who wants to go? How do you stay organized?
I can go.
And then from the faculty.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So it's sort of interesting when you get to university. No one checks that you've done your homework. You sort of have to do it yourself. So it is a little bit of a steep learning curve, and you do have to, I suppose, pretend to be an adult right from the get-go. But that independence, I actually found really quite good. That there's no one checking up on you, and it really drives your own sort of want to learn. It's all about balance, really. So you balance work commitments, you balance your study commitments, and you balance your social commitments as well. And a lot of the engineering work, it sort of goes through waves. Some weeks are full on, some weeks aren't full on. So you can sort of balance it in that regard. And there's a lot of support services on campus as well that can actually help you if you're struggling. And a lot of people do struggle because it can be, quite daunting, the fact no one's holding your hand anymore. So lots of services on campus, Maths Learning Centre to help you out with maths in first year, CAPS, who can help you out, design timetables, those sorts of things, help you through that. That really helps.
And I'm going to interrupt too, because I think just remember you're not alone. You're not the only person having this experience, and it is absolutely looking at student societies, your peer group, the mentoring programs, NGO mentoring that we do for the first year as well. So I think that, yeah, it's a transition and it's a fun one.
Yeah, engineering is also a very close cohort as well, I find. So you have a lot of peers who are in the same boat as you. So yeah, you're never really alone.
What kind of activities do you get to do during PEP?
So PEP, we set up some site visits for PEP students as well. So some of the activities can be non-engineering and engineering focused. And as I said, so engineering focused, we set up some site visits, which we did last year to Google. And I think there's another company we're about to just set up one now. It is also involvement with our industry, doing projects, industry projects, related projects, non-engineering,
Yeah, guest lecturers and things like that.
guest lecturers, mentoring. Now, we do have a lot of guest lecturers actually from industry. I keep forgetting. And then what else? Non-engineering is an interesting one because we do look at and consider students part-time work because you are gaining professional skills there and they are transferable and you do need them, like emotional intelligence and communication skills in any work environment that you're in. So the only thing with that, you do come back and with PEP you do write a claim for your hours and you write a reflection on how is that related to your professional work environment and what do you learn from it?
This question is about a double degree. What advantage do you see from doing a double degree in engineering and science? How much harder does this make study?
Yeah, good question. It doesn't really make it too much harder, I'd say. It's just that, I suppose if you have an interest in two areas, whether that be, engineering and arts, or in my case, engineering and science, it really gives you that option to be able to pursue those two passions and go through and take study in both. It does add an extra year, but I mean, you're getting a second degree out of it, which is really good. Workload doesn't get too much harder. It just means that you might need to walk a bit further between classes. So in my case, walking between engineering and physics a couple of times a week, which
it's good for your steps.
Good for your steps, definitely. But great way to pursue two passions.
Goodness, I can't believe the number of questions I'm getting about space.
Wow.
What is done in space engineering? Do you go to space?
No, we don't go to space, unfortunately.
Do you go somewhere exciting?
Oh.
Do you get to go exciting places?
Do we get to go exciting places? After we're done, I've been told we get to go exciting places. There's lots of opportunities in Australia. It's a very growing industry. The things we study in space engineering, things I actually never thought I would, undertake. So we do, the space physics, the orbital mechanics, fuel, rockets, all those sorts of things. But there's things that, as an engineer, you'd never really thought you'd go into. So spacecraft procurement, how you actually approach a company to say you'd like to buy a satellite or a spacecraft. Space law, so last year in Space Engineering 1, we actually had a professor come in who's the leading expert and actually represents Australia on the international stage in terms of space law. And he came in and lectured us on those sorts of things, which is, an engineer, you don't actually think you'd be able to get that knowledge, but it's absolutely vital that you understand it. So it's very, very broad. There's also practical components as well. So when you get to Space Engineering 3, you actually get to look at CubeSat design, so small satellites about the size of a toaster. You get to look at designing systems for those, putting them all together. And there's currently some talk that there may be some opportunities in the future for us to actually send those up, but that's not confirmed as yet. But lots of opportunities there, some really, really interesting, exciting stuff.
Question about practical work, I guess, what integrated learning. How much you get to do in class? How much practical work is there involved?
Lots of things. It's embedded right through every subject. There'll be at least one practical component. Even for things like, engineering mechanics, which is essentially looking at things in the real world and translating them into maths. When you do second year dynamics, you get to go into the lab and have a little motor and get to look at the vibration of that, go through, do that in an actual hands-on manner, and then do the maths in your lab report later. And it's embedded right through. So I'm actually writing a lab report after I finish this for materials too, was looking at stress in little glass plates, and when you fracture those, how you actually work out how tough they are, which is great to be able to have that theoretical knowledge and then actually go into the lab, do the practical stuff, come out of it knowing more, I suppose. Yeah.
What are some of examples of leadership attributes that are required for the leadership scholarship?
So in order to be accepted into the program, a few things that we look at is being involved in some sort of a leadership program, or so some sort of community engagement program so basically in high school, we usually look at people who are involved in some sort of leadership program, give some sort of leadership experience. So maybe you could be the head of your school or something like that. So we're looking at some sort of leadership experience in high school, but that's not just the only thing that we look at. We also look at your performance at the interviews that we hold on campus. But the initial filtration will be what sort of leadership experience you've had during your high school years. Yeah.
This one is related to, it's about work. So engineering students typically work when they study. So it could be about PEP, and it could be about whether they work for a living. So can you talk a little bit more about how people balance PEP and paid work maybe?
Yeah, sure. So engineering's quite full on, but it doesn't mean that it just becomes your life. I've got lots of friends, first year, second year, third year, who all actually work part-time or casual jobs while they study. That's incredibly common, which is good. And once you get later on, the work can actually go to 2 days a week. I've got a lot of friends currently in fourth year who are currently actually interning and working part-time while they're on a full-time study load. In first year, you may find it a little bit more difficult, but you can definitely fit it in. And like we said before, counts for PEP. So we actually recognise that you're going out and undertaking that work, which is good stuff.
Generic question. What do we cover in first year engineering?
What do you cover in first year engineering? Cool.
Narrow it down.
All right.
And you've only got a couple minutes.
Yeah, sure. So start off with an introduction to your stream, or if you're in flexible first year, an introduction to all the streams. You do 4 maths subjects, so 2 in first semester, 2 in second semester, covering linear algebra and calculus and statistics. And then once you've done that, after first semester, that pretty much covers everything there. You also do engineering computing as well, so that's coding, which I never thought I would actually do, but I'm very glad I've done it because I realise how cool it is now. Second semester, you get to do standard mechanics, so like I said, taking things in the real world, describing it in maths and solving it, which is pretty cool. And then you also get to start your specialisation right then and there. So if you're in aeronautical, mechanical, mechatronic or biomed, you might do materials in your first year. If you do electrical engineering, you might do the introduction to electrical circuits, which is a second semester subject.
Someone asked, how many degrees can you take when you start university?
How many degrees? It depends how much work do you want to do and survive. No.
You can do one.
We get you double degrees.
Yeah,
You do combine.
Yeah, the combined
degrees. That's about it, and I think that's all you'd want to take.
Yeah, unless you wanted to add on like a diploma of languages or something as well, but that can become quite full on. So I've heard.
You want to understand what you're learning as well, not just sort of gloss over and
get as many accreditations as possible.
Yeah, you want a deeper understanding of what you're doing and why you're here.
This is probably a generic question because someone says, what subjects should I study in high school if I want to do civil? And I think it would apply to any other engineering subject, right?
Yeah. So prerequisite is 2-unit maths. That's standard across science, engineering, health sciences at the university. We brought that in this year. But physics is assumed knowledge. I would highly recommend you go through and study physics. I really enjoyed it in high school, which is why I chose a degree in it. 3-unit maths is also assumed knowledge as well. So I would recommend doing that because it just makes that transition a whole lot easier. You're not having to catch up on things that other people have already covered. So definitely 3-unit maths. And then it's sort of free choice from there. So find things that you're passionate about. Engineering studies was my favourite subject in high school. If you're in New South Wales, you do chemistry. I also did 3-unit English as well. So it's really the maths that we sort of mandate. Physics is also quite good to have as well. And then everything else from there is free choice.
Is it possible to do a combined degree with engineering and aviation? We don't have aviation.
No, so we don't have a degree in aviation.
No.
Aerospace,
Aeronautical is the closest you'll get.
Yeah.
That's it. What should I pursue in high school if I want to do a degree in computer science and software engineering? Mathematics.
Mathematics, yeah. And there's also ICT and SDD that are probably pretty helpful, but not really mandated. So whatever interests you.
Well, what maths? Do I have to be mathematically minded to do engineering?
To an extent, but the approach I take is maths to an engineer is like a tool. So it's like taking a hammer out of your toolbox, essentially. So you don't have to really, really love it, but you have to appreciate the sort of power that you have and its ability to help you solve problems. Because as an engineer, that's what you're about, solving problems.
Good answer.
Good answer. And that's about the end of our questions.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And if you do have any other questions, please email us. It's in the chat. Right, okay. The other thing is, if students are interested in knowing more about us, we will be having an information day on June the 5th from 5 o'clock to 8 o'clock. Students are invited to come and talk to our heads of schools and our students, some of our leadership students and some of our staff, get to know what engineering is all about at the University of Sydney. So that's Wednesday, June 5th. But we'll be sending you out the transcripts and some of the questions, if we didn't answer them, we will be answering them and we'll be sending them off to you.
Great. Thank you.
And would like to thank you for spending your evening with us. Good night.
Good luck.
Good luck.
See you later.
Yeah, we'll see you next year at the University of Sydney, Faculty of Engineering and IT.